if China tries to remove warship BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal.
A few months ago, the Philippine Navy confirmed what many in Manila had quietly feared. A Chinese Navy tugboat had been spotted just 5 nautical miles from Ayungin Shoal, the disputed reef in the West Philippine Sea, where the BRP Sierra Madre, a rusting World War II relic, still stands as the Philippines' unlikely frontline outpost. The sighting on August 2025 wasn't random. It wasn't routine. It was a signal, and it came during a noticeable surge in Chinese maritime activity. Armed rigid-hull inflatable boats cutting across the water cannon drills blasting the sea, drones and helicopters circling overhead. For Manila, this wasn't just another day in contested waters. It was a stress test, a deliberate probe of the Philippines' red line, that thin, dangerous boundary between deterrence and disaster. The BRP Sierra Madre wasn't built to become a symbol. Originally a U.S. Navy landing ship tank during World War II, she ferried troops and cargo across the Pacific before being transferred to the Philippines in the 1970s. For years, she faded into obscurity until 1999. That's when Manila made a bold, almost cinematic decision: run the ship aground on Ayungin Shoal, not by accident, on purpose. A message forged in steel and saltwater: this is ours, and we are not leaving. For 26 years, a small rotation of Philippine Marines has lived aboard the corroding hull. No air conditioning, limited supplies, patchy communications, rust flakes from the ceiling. Waves crash through her aging frame, yet their presence is more powerful than any radar system. It's a living flag planted in disputed waters. Each resupply mission, known as RORE, is a high-risk choreography. Philippine boats approach cautiously, often shadowed by Chinese Coast Guard cutters and maritime militia vessels. In August 2025, cameras captured Philippine rubber boats physically blocking a Chinese RHIB armed with heavy-caliber weapons from nearing the ship. The moment was tense, calculated. One wrong move could have sparked something far bigger. Boarding the ship is a red line, declared Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, the Navy's lead voice on the West Philippine Sea. Not a suggestion, a warning. On a map, Ayungin Shoal might look like little more than coral and sand, but geographically, it's strategic gold. It sits just 105 nautical miles west of Palawan, well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. Yet it lies dangerously close to Mischief Reef, now fortified with Chinese radar systems and missile platforms. To the east is Pagasa Island, the Philippines' largest outpost in the Spratlys. Together, they form a triangle of tension, a maritime chessboard where every move echoes across Asia. Control of Ayungin isn't about territory alone, it's about credibility. In 2016, the Hague Tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, invalidating China's sweeping 9-dash line claim. Legally, Manila's footing couldn't be stronger, but Beijing didn't retreat. Instead, it adapted. Coast Guard flotillas, maritime militia swarms, armed fast boats, surveillance aircraft, and now tugboats. Analysts call it salami slicing, incremental steps that stop short of open war but steadily shift the facts on the water. On August 2025, Philippine surveillance tracked 5 Chinese Coast Guard vessels, 11 armed fast boats, and 9 militia ships near Ayungin. Overhead, a helicopter and drone circled while water cannon drills unfolded nearby, a display of force following an embarrassing collision between Chinese ships at Scarborough Shoal. Then came the tugboat. The Philippine Navy downplayed fears that it could tow the Sierra Madre away, noting it would take more than a single vessel to move her. Still, the symbolism was impossible to ignore. It wasn't about horsepower, it was about pressure. These incidents aren't isolated. They form a pattern. Calibrated coercion met by calibrated resistance. Each maneuver is a move in a high-stakes game where miscalculation could ignite something far bigger than a reef dispute. For Filipinos, losing the Sierra Madre wouldn't just mean losing a ship. It would mean losing a symbol of resolve. And for the rest of the world, it would send a chilling message that persistence, pressure, and gray zone tactics can slowly overpower international law without ever firing a shot. That's why every Chinese vessel that drifts too close raises the temperature. This isn't just tactical tension, it's existential, because as long as the Sierra Madre stands, rusted, battered, half-submerged, the Philippines stands with her, fragile but unbroken. You've heard the phrase in headlines, red line. Out there, on those unpredictable waters, it's very simple. If China tows, dismantles, or seizes the Sierra Madre, Manila will treat it as a direct attack on Philippine sovereignty. No gray area, no debate. Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad has made it clear. Contingency plans are ready. His tone isn't loud. It's measured, controlled. The kind of calm that suggests preparation, not panic. Because defending something this symbolic isn't about dramatic speeches. It's about being ready when the noise stops. So why not reveal the response plan? Because of strategic ambiguity, a classic Cold War playbook move. Keep your opponent guessing. Never show your full hand. If Beijing doesn't know how far Manila is willing to go, it has to think twice before pushing further. And legally, Manila stands on solid ground. Ayungin Shoal lies squarely within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone under UNCLOS. The 2016 Hague ruling made it clear China's sweeping claim has no legal foundation. So, when the Philippines says, "This is our territory," it's not just emotion, it's law, and law backed by presence, a rusting ship, a handful of Marines, and a line in the Reef that neither side can afford to misread. Because in the West Philippine Sea, even a tugboat can shake the balance of power. Red lines aren't just warnings aimed at rivals, they're promises to your own people and to your allies. When Manila drew its line at Ayungin Shoal, it wasn't just talking to Beijing. It was speaking to every Filipino watching the horizon, and to every partner wondering how far this would go. The message was simple and powerful. We will defend what's ours, and we will not be pushed aside again. This isn't about starting a war. It's about making sure one never starts. Not saber-rattling, signaling, a quiet kind of deterrence. The kind that doesn't rely on threats, but on preparation. The kind that makes an opponent pause and thinks, do I really want to find out how far they'll go today? Then came another test. Weeks ago, Filipino surveillance aircraft spotted a PLA Navy tugboat lingering near Ayungin Shoal. At first glance, it looked ordinary, routine. But this wasn't your typical Coast Guard patrol ship. It was a heavy-duty tug, the kind built to move massive structures. You can see where those thought leads. Officials in Manila immediately flagged it. Was this reconnaissance for a towing operation? A dry run? A bold attempt to remove the BRP Sierra Madre entirely? Beijing brushed it off, saying the tugboat was simply conducting support operations. But in the world of gray zone warfare, there's no such thing as coincidence. Every ship placement, every patrol pattern, every routine maneuver, it all sends a signal. And this one said, "We're testing your red line." While ships circle in the sea, another fight plays out on land. China's media machine pushes its narrative, reshaping events, flipping blame, casting the Philippines as the provocateur. It's a well-practiced strategy, psychological pressure layered over maritime pressure. To domestic audiences, Beijing appears calm and stabilizing. To the outside world, the story becomes muddy. But don't lose sight of the bigger picture. This isn't about one rusting ship. It's not even about one shoal. It's a stress test of Manila's resolve, of the strength of the U.S.-Philippine alliance. Will the Philippines stand firm? And if tensions explode, will Washington step in? Every close encounter, every blast of a water cannon, every near collision at sea, they're all designed to answer those questions without ever firing a shot. That's the essence of gray zone strategy. Push hard enough to dominate, but not hard enough to trigger open war. Normalize control, wear down resistance, turn fatigue into a weapon. But here's what's different now. Manila isn't retreating. Under the armed forces of the Philippines modernization program, the country is transforming, quietly but decisively. New missile systems, upgraded naval assets, enhanced air and maritime surveillance. This isn't the Philippines of a decade ago, and the world is noticing. The 2025 Balikatan exercises, the largest in Philippine history, showcased live-fire missile drills, amphibious landings, and simulated island defense operations alongside U.S. forces. This time, the message wasn't subtle. It was unmistakable. We're ready, and we're not alone. Beyond hardware, Manila has expanded its presence across the West Philippine Sea. Regular patrols, daily surveillance flights, real-time maritime monitoring powered by shared U.S. intelligence and satellite systems. Commanders can now see movements in contested waters as they happen, and diplomatically, the Philippines wields international law like a blade. Every time China shifts the narrative, Manila invokes the 2016 Hague ruling and the protections under UNCLOS. But here's where the strategy gets even smarter. Transparency. When something happens at sea, Manila doesn't hide it. It releases footage, photos, first-hand accounts. Within hours, the world sees what happened. In today's information war, truth travels fast, and visibility becomes a shield. Each viral clip boxes Beijing in with global scrutiny. Each documented encounter turns into deterrence. The Philippines isn't strengthening ties with just one partner. Beyond the United States, Manila has deepened cooperation with Japan and Australia. Joint patrols, coordinated drills, unified statements echoing across the Indo-Pacific. The message is consistent. Freedom of navigation is not negotiable. So, while China flexes with ships and blockades, Manila counters with something harder to break: unity, credibility, quiet readiness. Because in the long game unfolding in the West Philippine Sea, real power doesn't shout, it stands firm. And if that red line is ever crossed, if someone tries to tow, dismantle, or seize the Sierra Madre, it won't just be a local incident. The world will see it in real time, and Beijing will learn exactly how ready the Philippines truly is. Here's the part that raises the stakes. Under the Mutual Defense Treaty, any armed attack on Philippine troops, ships, or aircraft in the South China Sea triggers U.S. obligations. That's not rumor. That's not political spin. It's official policy, reaffirmed by President Joe Biden and backed publicly by the Pentagon. But here's where it gets interesting. Washington has never spelled out exactly when or how it would respond. That's intentional. It's called strategic ambiguity, a Cold War-era mind game designed to keep opponents off balance. The uncertainty itself becomes the warning. It forces Beijing to constantly calculate, is this worth the risk? What if the U.S. steps in faster than expected? What if they respond harder than we planned for? That hesitation, that's deterrence working in real time. At its core, this is a high-wire act without a safety net. Manila doesn't want war. Realistically, it can't win a head-on fight against China. But showing weakness, that would be like hanging up a sign that says, push harder. On the other side, Beijing doesn't want an all-out war either. It wants control, influence, dominance, without the destruction. So, both sides operate in the gray zone, pushing, probing, pulling back, testing limits without crossing the line. One miscalculation, one overreaction, one captain who makes the wrong call, and the entire region could ignite. If China ever manages to tow away or dismantle the BRP Sierra Madre, the shockwave won't stop in Manila. It would ripple across Southeast Asia. Vietnam would notice, Malaysia would notice, Indonesia would notice. They would see it as proof that China's peaceful rise comes with conditions, and that persistence beats protest. The likely response? Defense budgets surge, military cooperation tightens, joint patrols with the US, Japan, and Australia multiply almost overnight. One grounded, rusting ship could end up uniting an entire region against Beijing's ambitions. And then there's the economic reality. The South China Sea isn't just another stretch of water. It's one of the most important trade arteries on Earth. More than $3 trillion in goods pass through it every year. Oil, semiconductors, food, medicine, consumer products that move from Asian factories to American shelves. If tensions spiral, this won't stay a military story. Shipping lanes could be disrupted. Insurance premiums could spike. Markets could rattle from Tokyo to Los Angeles. The consequences wouldn't be regional, they'd be global. But beneath the strategy and the numbers, something deeper is unfolding. This isn't just about territory, it's about whether rules still matter. The rusting hull of the BRP Sierra Madre has become more than a military outpost. It's a symbol, proof that even a smaller nation can stand its ground by leaning on international law instead of raw force. Every day that ship clings to Ayungin Shoal, it sends a message: treaties matter, arbitration rulings matter, sovereignty matters, or at least they're supposed to. This is the real test of the so-called rules-based order. Can it survive when a major power decides the rules don't apply to them? For 26 years, the Sierra Madre has endured typhoons, blockades, water cannons, intimidation. And still, the Philippine flag flies. That's why Manila's red line feels different. It's calm, but firm. Measured, but immovable. The Philippines doesn't want war, but it refuses to be bullied. Beijing keeps testing. Manila keeps holding. Both sides know the margin for error is razor thin. As 2025 draws to a close, Ayungin Shoal has become the most volatile flashpoint in the South China Sea. What started in 1999 as a bold gamble, grounding an aging ship on a remote reef, has evolved into something far bigger. It's now a crucible for the entire regional order in Asia. Will the Sierra Madre survive another year? No one can say. But this much is certain. Her fate won't just shape the Philippines' future. It will test whether international law can stand up to raw power, or whether persistence and pressure will rewrite the rules of the sea. The world is watching, and in the rusted shadow of a forgotten warship, history is waiting for its next move.